Buried in silence, the desert was quiet. Only the wind moved, carrying fine red dust across the rocks and bones of a long-dead battlefield. Deep under the sand, something old was sleeping. It had been forgotten by time, buried for centuries. That thing was a starship, made before any known alien empire had even existed, that no one had ever flown it. No one could even open it. Hundreds of alien scientists had tried. The galaxy's best minds came and went. Some said it was broken. Others believed it was cursed. A few whispered stories that it once belonged to the first race, a godlike species that vanished millions of years ago. Still, the ship waited, silent, dead. Then a human arrived. His name was Jace Ward, a quiet pilot from Earth. He wasn't famous. He wasn't important. He had no high rank or special title. He was just sent here to help scan the area for safe landing zones. Nothing more. He didn't even know about the ship when he landed. Jace stepped off his small scout vessel, brushing sand off his boots. The heat was harsh, but he didn't complain. He looked up at the giant black shape sticking out of the ground, like the fin of a whale. It was strange, smooth, clean, untouched by time. An alien scientist with blue skin and wide, blinking eyes walked up beside him. "That is the ship," she said. "Buried for over 800 years. No door, no power, no sound. It kills all who try to enter." Jace frowned. "Then why is it still here?" The scientist smiled sadly. "Hope. We all hope it will open for someone. One day." Later, Jace walked alone around the ship. The camp lights glowed softly in the fading sunset. Everyone else had gone to eat. He stayed behind, drawn by something he couldn't explain. The metal didn't feel like metal. It was warm, like skin. He reached out and touched the hull, just a simple touch. The ship pulsed. A line of light raced across its surface like lightning. A low hum echoed through the sand. Jace stepped back, shocked. Lights. Movement. A sound like breathing. The alien. Scientists screamed. "Back away! Now!" Guards rushed forward, weapons raised. Scientists shouted in fear. Some dropped their tools and ran. But the ship didn't attack. Instead, it spoke. A soft voice echoed in Jace's head. Not in alien language. Not in code. In English. Pilot detected. Welcome. Everyone froze. The ship had been silent for 800 years. Now it had spoken, and it spoke to him. From the shadows, someone else was watching. A small alien girl, barely taller than Jace's chest, stood behind a crate. Her skin was silver, and her black eyes shimmered like stars. Her name was Leary, a junior tech assistant with no rank and no voice in council meetings. But she was smart. Smarter than most. Gave her credit for. She had studied the ship since she was a child. She dreamed of flying it, of unlocking its secrets. But it had never reacted to her. Not once. And now, it had lit up for a human. Leary's hands shook. Her heart pounded. She didn't know whether to run or cry. That night, the camp buzzed with fear and excitement. Reports were sent to the Galactic Council. High Lords demanded answers. How did the human wake the ship? Was it dangerous? Should they stop him? Jace sat alone by his fire, his eyes on the dark outline of the ship. He didn't feel afraid. He felt calm. Like the ship had been waiting for him. Leary walked up slowly, holding a small data pad. She didn't look him in the eye. "You should leave," she said softly. Jace raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Everyone who touched it before is dead. Their bodies turned to ash. I don't know why it let you live, but next time, it might not." Jace gave a small smile. "Then I'll be careful." "You don't understand," she said, voice shaking. "That ship is alive. It has a will. and if it chooses you, it won't let go. Far above the planet, in a dark ship orbiting the world, alien leaders watched the scene on screens. They saw the human. They saw the lights. They heard the ship's voice. One of the leaders whispered, "It has begun." Another leaned forward. "If that human unlocks the core, the galaxy will never be the same." Asterisk the alien girl's warning Leary. Couldn't sleep. The camp was quiet, but her mind wasn't. She kept thinking about the way the ship had lit up, like it had been waiting, like it had found what it wanted. And what it wanted was a human dot. She had seen thousands of visitors come and go. High-ranking commanders, elite pilots, brilliant scientists. All of them had tried to unlock the ship. All had failed. Some had died. Some simply disappeared after touching the hull dot, but this man, Jace Ward, had touched it once. And the ship had spoken. Pilot detected. That voice kept echoing in her mind. The next morning, security was doubled. Drones floated in the sky. Soldiers stood by the gates. Every scanner was turned on. Council orders had come down. Do not let the human near the ship again. Jace noticed. He wasn't stupid. He sat on the edge of a low metal crate, eating a ration bar slowly. His calm eyes scanned the camp. He didn't panic, didn't argue, just watched. Quiet and still. Leary walked up to him again. She had to know more. But her voice was firm this time. "You're being watched," she said. Jace looked up. "I know. They're afraid of you." He tilted his head. "Are you?" Leary didn't answer. Instead, she handed him a small device. It was a portable scanner. "This shows life energy. Look at the ship." Jace turned it on and pointed the scanner at the black shape rising in the sand. The screen blinked. Then it lit up red. "See that?" Leary whispered. "That's not metal. That's something else." "It's breathing," Jace blinked. "You mean the ship's alive? Maybe not alive like us, but not dead either. It reacts to emotion, to will, to connection." Later that day, something changed. The ship opened a door. For the first time in 8 centuries, a seam appeared in its side, smooth and glowing. The metal folded back like skin, revealing a narrow passage lit with blue light. Alarms blared across the camp. Guards rushed forward, weapons ready. Drones circled the air. Scientists screamed in fear, but the ship did nothing. It just waited, quiet, open. For him, Jace didn't run. He didn't move either. He stood, staring at the entrance. It wasn't wide, just enough for one person. He looked at Leary. "What's inside?" he asked. She shook her head. "No one knows. Anyone who tried to force their way in never came back out. And if I go in, you won't come back either." Jace nodded slowly. "Then I guess I'll find out." He walked toward the ship. The closer he got, the quieter the world became. He couldn't hear the wind, couldn't hear the camp. Just a faint sound like a heartbeat. Slow, deep. The moment his foot touched the ramp, everything changed. The lights inside grew brighter. The door widened. Strange shapes floated in the air, symbols made of light. Jace stepped in, and the door closed behind him. "L-I-R-I," gasped. "No, ... She stood frozen, heart racing. What had she just let happen? The guards shouted, but they were too late. The scanners went dark. Communications failed. The ship had gone silent again, but this time it had someone inside. Jace Ward, the human nobody expected. The man who had touched the controls and opened the ship of the gods. Inside the ship, Jace stood in a vast hallway. The walls shimmered. Like water, strange lights followed him as he walked. It felt like he wasn't walking alone. Then the voice returned. "Welcome, pilot. You have been chosen." Jace swallowed. Chosen for what? To awaken the memory of the stars. And suddenly, the floor shifted under his feet. The ship was moving not far above. The Galactic Council's command ship received one final signal from the ancient craft. Flight system online. Human interface confirmed. Panic spread across the stars. The ship had accepted a pilot, and the galaxy wasn't ready. Asterisk. Chosen by the ship, Jace stood still, heart beating slowly but loud in his chest. The floor beneath his feet was no longer metal. It felt soft, like glass and air mixed together. The hallway he had stepped into was glowing, pulsing gently with blue and silver light. It wasn't just a ship. It felt like a living thing. Pilot confirmed, the voice echoed calmly in his mind. System interface initializing. Jace looked around. Who are you? He asked aloud. There was no face, no figure, but the voice replied, I am the vessel, created by the first, waiting, searching, now ... awakened. Jace took a slow breath. Why me? Because you are unafraid. In the outside world, the camp was in chaos. Dozens of aliens crowded near the edge of the ship, shouting, scanning, trying to force a signal through. Every system was jammed. The door had closed with no sound, no warning. Leary stood apart from the crowd, her hands shaking. He's still inside. She whispered. An older alien scientist barked. Then he's already dead. But Leary didn't believe that. She had seen how the ship responded to Jace. It didn't attack him. It didn't resist. It welcomed him, like it knew him. She couldn't just wait. So she made her choice. She ran, not away from the ship, but toward it. Inside, Jace walked slowly through a long hallway filled with floating images, memories. Scenes flickered in the air like silent films. Giant alien cities rising, fleets of golden ships flying through stars, and creatures of light building this very vessel. It was a history the galaxy had forgotten. He reached out and touched one of the floating images. A rush of knowledge entered his mind, not in words, but in feelings, sorrow, pride, loss, victory. The first made this ship, the voice said, to find one who does not seek power. But peace. Jace whispered, that's why it never opened for the others. They wanted to command. You want to understand. Suddenly, the light shifted. A chamber opened ahead. Inside it stood something that looked like a control seat, but it wasn't made of metal. It was grown like a tree shaped into a throne. Glowing threads hovered around it like vines made of light. Jace stepped forward. Place your hand on the core, the voice said. He hesitated, but then he reached out. The moment his hand touched the throne, the ship came alive. Every wall lit up. The floor hummed. The symbols floated faster, dancing in patterns Jace could somehow read. His mind filled with mapped stars, galaxies, forgotten worlds. He could feel the engines. He could feel the wings. He could feel the pulse of the ship, as if it were his own heartbeat. You are now connected, said the voice. You are the pilot. Jace gasped. I'm flying it? No, you are becoming it. Back outside, the sand trembled. The ship rose slightly, just a few meters, but enough for the guards to panic. Alarms screamed. Cannons charged. Someone yelled, shoot it down. But Leary reached the ship's edge before they fired. She climbed onto the smooth hull, placed her palm against the glowing surface, and whispered, please, don't leave without me. The ship answered her. A second door opened. Without waiting, Leary slipped inside the core chamber. Jace turned as Os. The door behind him slid open, and there stood Leary, eyes wide, breathing hard. You followed me, he said. She nodded. I had to. They looked at each other for a moment. Enemies, strangers, two species that barely understood each other. But the ship had chosen both. 2 minds. 2 hearts, the voice said. Balance found. And then the stars moved. Jace looked. Up at the holographic ceiling. The ship was already flying. Silent. Effortless. Faster than anything he had ever imagined. He didn't push a button. He didn't need to. The ship knew where to go. And it was taking them home not far above. The Galactic Council received one final alert. Ancient vessel no longer dormant. Human pilot active. Trajectory unknown. Their leader stared at the message, then said one word: destroy it. Into the storm the stars moved fast, too fast. Jace stood in the center of the chamber, barely breathing, as stars stretched into long white lines around him. He wasn't flying the ship. He wasn't even touching anything. Yet somehow the ship responded to every thought, every feeling. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive. And now it was running. Leary stood beside him, staring at the floating star map. Where is it going? I don't know, Jace said, voice low. But it knows. Destination. Hollow sector, the voice answered. Hidden system. Last memory of the first, Leary gasped. That place is forbiddance. The council banned it long ago. Too dangerous. Jace looked at her. Then why is the ship going there? She swallowed. Because it's the only place the galaxy forgot. Back at the camp, the alien council's warships had arrived. 7 black cruisers hovered. In the sky like metal sharks, weapons hot. The lead commander, a tall reptilian alien with glowing red eyes, stepped forward. Bring the ship down now, he ordered. When no response came, he raised his hand. Fire. In space, warning lights flashed inside the ancient ship. Incoming. Missiles. 72 projectiles locked. Jace felt it before the alarm said a word at chill, like cold water running through his veins. The ship was warning him through emotion, not just sound. They're trying to stop us, he said. Leary looked at him, panicked. Can we fight back? He didn't know. But the ship did. The air inside the chamber thickened. Glowing shields surrounded the walls. Then, in a flash, the entire vessel vanished from normal space, not through speed, but through something stranger. They were now inside a storm. But it wasn't wind or water. It was memory. The hollow sector wasn't a place marked on modern maps. It was a stretch of space where stars didn't shine. Ships that entered often never returned. It was filled with strange energy, drifting debris, and signals no one could explain. Inside it, the ancient ship moved smoothly, like it had come home. Where are we? Jace asked. Leary looked at the screen. Her hands were shaking. This place. It's a graveyard. And she was right. Around them floated broken cities, shattered space stations, and pieces of alien technology, older than anything they had seen. The last battlefield of the first race. This is where the first fell, the ship said. Where power was misused, where peace was broken. Jace stepped closer to the display. Are we here to see it or fix it? To remember and to choose. Suddenly, the walls darkened. Outside, something moved, a swarm of machines, black as shadows, rising from the broken moons. They looked like insects, but their size was massive, and their design was ancient. They were not part of the council. They were part of the ship's past. Old defense units, Leary whispered. They're still active. The ship didn't run. It welcomed them. The swarm surrounded the ship like guardians. Then one of the drones scanned the hull and paused. The entire swarm bowed. Jace blinked. Did they just kneel? They recognize the pilot, said the ship. They obey the will of the chosen. For the first time, Jace realized the truth. He wasn't just flying a ship. He was wearing a crown. Back in normal space, the council's warships scanned the area, but the ancient vessel had disappeared. Their commander slammed his fist into the control panel. "Find that ship," he growled. "Before it finds something worse." But they were already too late. Inside the storm of memory, Jace turned to Leary. "You said this place was dangerous." She nodded. "It still is." He looked out at the swarm, at the stars slowly revealing a hidden path through the darkness. "And let's find out what they didn't want us to know." The ship moved forward toward the heart of the forgotten war. Asterisk. Secrets of the first race. The storm faded. Slowly, carefully, the ship floated into a quiet space. Even time seemed to hold its breath. Ahead of them lay a black planet. No lights. No orbiting satellites. No signals. It didn't appear on any known star chart. But the ship knew its name. Origin. Birthplace of the first. Jace stared at the strange world. "It doesn't even look alive." Leary shook her head. "It isn't. Not anymore." "This is where the first were created," the voice said, "and where they ended themselves." The ship moved gently into orbit, settling into position like it remembered this place. Inside the chamber, walls shifted. A new room opened behind. The command seat. Jace and Leary stepped in together. What they saw wasn't technology. It was a memory garden. Glowing trees lined the walls, floating unreal. Each tree pulsed with color and light. When Jace touched one, it showed a memory. Not just video. Not just sound. He felt it. A whole world, a whole civilization rose around him, golden towers, peaceful skies, beings of light and wisdom working in harmony. Leary stood frozen beside him. This was the first race. They were beautiful. They didn't look like any known species. Their bodies shimmered with light. Their voices were soft and kind. But behind their eyes, something sad lived, like they knew their end was near. The first reached too far, the ship said. They made weapons not to fight, but to stop wars forever. This ship was one of them. Jace frowned. A weapon? Yes, but not to destroy, to judge. Images flowed past them, giant machines ending wars in seconds. Planets brought into peace by quiet force. Entire empires bowing without a single drop of blood spilled. Then something changed. One of them broke the law. Used the ships for power, for control, for fear. Jace saw a city fall. Fire, screams, other first beings trying to stop it, but it was too late. Their greatest gift had become their greatest curse. Leary's voice shook. So they ended themselves? The ship responded gently. They chose silence, left behind only memory, and a test. Jace turned. A test? This ship was built not to serve rulers, but to wait, to watch, and one day to choose anew. Pilot. Outside, the swarm of Guardian drones hovered near the orbit path, watching silently. The ship was now uploading its final files. Blueprints, maps, forgotten knowledge. All of it being unlocked by Jace's connection. Suddenly, a warning flashed. Foreign signal detected. Council warships en route. Leary stepped forward. How? Did they find us? Jace's jaw tightened. They were tracking me. From the start. Weapons online, the ship said calmly. Permission to engage? Jace looked at Leary. No, he said. Not unless they shoot first. Leary blinked. You'd risk your life for them? Jace nodded. I'd rather be the first pilot who brought peace, not war. Moments later, the Council fleet arrived. 12 warships, missiles ready. Shields. Hot. The lead vessel sent a message. Surrender the ship, or we will destroy you. Jace stood at the command seat. The ship waited for his answer. He didn't raise a weapon. He didn't even move. He spoke, and the ship amplified, his voice across the entire system. This vessel chose me, not because I wanted power, but because I didn't. You feared what? It might become. But what you really fear is that it chose a human. I didn't come here to rule. I came to understand. This ship belongs to no empire, no council, no flag. It belongs to the stars, and the stars chose us. The fleet paused. Weapons stayed ready. Then something happened. The ship released a wave of light, soft, silent, warm. It wasn't an attack, Doc. It was a message. Every ship in the fleet saw that. Memories. The rise and fall of the first. The price of greed. The reason for peace. One by one, the council ships powered down. Not in surrender, but in respect. Jace turned to Leary. They understand now. She looked at him, amazed. You did what no one else could. He smiled. No, the ship did. I just listened. Asterisk the human who awoke the stars. The warships drifted silently in space. No one fired. No one spoke. Inside the ancient vessel, Jace and Leary stood beneath the glowing ceiling. Star maps pulsed in slow motion above them. The ship was still, yet filled with something larger than sound. Peace. JAC. He looked at his hands that had touched something no other being could. He was no hero, no soldier. He had been a scout, a quiet pilot. But now, he was the pilot of a ship built by gods. And the galaxy had seen it. Leary stood beside him, silent, watching the distant council ships fade one by one into the dark. They were retreating not in fear, but in respect. They're leaving, she whispered. Jace nodded. They saw the truth. They'll still fear you. I know. The ship's voice returned, softer now. Mission complete. Judgment. Past. Pilot chosen. Memory preserved. Leary stepped forward. What now? The galaxy will remember this moment, the voice said. But the journey is not finished. Jace turned slowly toward the command seat. The vines of light that once bound it had relaxed. Now it waited again. A path has opened, beyond this galaxy, beyond this time. A new map unfolded, one no being had ever seen. Distant galaxies, unknown stars, forgotten gates built before creation. It stretched into infinity. Jace took a breath. This wasn't about unlocking the past. Leary smiled. It was about unlocking the future. The ship moved again, smooth and silent. It passed over the black planet one last time. The memory garden sealed itself. The swarm of guardians followed behind, not as weapons, but as witnesses. They would protect this world now, so no one could take its truth and twist it again. News of what happened spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Whispers turned to rumors. Rumors turned into legends. The ancient ship awakened. A human commands it. The council fled without a shot. Some feared it. Others believed in it. A few began to hope that maybe, just maybe, this strange little species called humanity had something special, something forgotten, something ancient ships still remembered. Back on Earth, Jace's name became a mystery. Some called him a thief, others a messiah. But those who truly knew Leary, the ship, and the stars understood the truth. He didn't. Take power. Power chose him. Inside the ship, Jace sat in the seat once more. Leary stood behind him, a small smile on her face. You ready? She asked. He looked at the stars stretching ahead, stars no one had ever named. Let's go where? Even the gods were afraid to look. Coordinates set, the ship confirmed, opening star path. As the vessel rose into higher space, past light, past sound, the stars bent forward to welcome them. A pulse of ancient energy wrapped around the ship. The old gods watched from memory. The galaxy paused to listen, and then the human ship vanished beyond the edge of known space. The legacy of the first was no longer buried. It was flying again. and the stars would never be the same. Asterisk.